Hello and welcome. We are here to just talk through a little bit about what court looks like. I'm Lindy. This is Krysten. This is Charlee. And we're going to dive in and just give you a little bit of context about court. That's a big deal. So first question, serving with ÄMA, I'm an advocate, right? I'm in the advocate shoes. My question is, do all of our moms go to court?
That's a great question.
Is it always a thing?
No, not all of our moms go to court. We have some women that come through our program that are in this like at-risk category where we would kind of label as a prevention case or a family preservation case. Like that's the goal, where there's risk factors present, that many of them that are family threatening. And so we're getting connected to those moms more upstream to ensure she has the support she needs to keep her family together and her kids in her care. And then about 20% of our cases we work with are moms that already have an open case with the state. So some type of authority has gone into her home and has deemed her family unsafe, or whether there's neglect or abuse or any type of reason that they would remove the child from her care. Those are the ones that are actively working towards reunifying with their children. So they already have a case plan through your local court, with a dependency case is what they would say. And those moms also need an advocate. And so that's not the majority of the moms that we serve,
Sure.
but the ÄMA program is equipped to serve the mom that has an open case.
Sure. So the moms who are intersecting with a court or a case situation, it's almost always oriented to a child custody safety situation.
Yep.
And so she's working her plan. So if I'm an advocate, well, tell me a little bit about like if mom goes to court. So there's some level of custody situation or child in the home that they're working through for their safety. What are the court things, right? Like if I've never been to court and I don't know what that means, like, what do you mean we go to court?
Yeah.
Is it like once a year? Is it every month? When we go, what's the purpose? Like, can you give a little context as to what we do, what's happening?
Yeah, I would say at the time where an advocate is going to be engaging with a mom, she's typically already identified, or the court has helped identify a case plan and a goal. And so mom is going to have a number of things to accomplish for her to increase her safety capacities for her home. And so parenting will likely be one of those, which is why she has connected with ÄMA. And so that is why she is now getting an advocate with us, and she will be going to court every 6 months. Every state might have a different time frame, but it won't be typically every week, every month, and it will likely be more than once a year. And at that court hearing, they're going to identify how has mom been doing since our last meeting.
Yeah.
How has mom accomplished her goals? What's standing in the way? How can we add more support? And just a checkup, really. And then eventually there comes a point later down after a lot of court hearings have happened where a decision gets made. And sometimes our advocates are still involved with mom, but a lot of times we're just in the middle piece of her court experience.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm an advocate and my mom is impacted by a court case, what's my role? Well, one, let me start with, do I go with her to court? Is that like required? Is it an option? What's that look like?
Yeah. So every mom in our program has an assigned, like what we would say ÄMA coordinator or care coordinator, that is paid team members that are often functioning like a case manager. So that's someone that advocates rely on, work with, partner with to ensure mom has all the resources and support that she needs. So our team is required to go to court with mom. We want to be there whenever we possibly can, because we technically are a party to the case. Yeah. And so we are invited to be present. The advocate, we strongly encourage to go. We do not require you, if you have some type of like deep aversion to this space, that we would understand that. But we do strongly encourage the advocate to be present in the room, because they're the ones who are building a relationship and working week in and week out with mom. So they're closest to mom. They have the most information, and their voice really matters in the courtroom.
Yeah. Well, to kind of then go deeper into that, if I am an advocate and I've been working with mom for a few weeks or a whole handful of weeks or the full program or whatnot, what is the weight of my voice in court? Like how much does that matter or impact? I think it's helpful to understand, man, if I've never been in court before. What does this mean if I'm asked or willing to show up and share my experience with mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think one of the important things to first recognize is that there are a lot of players when court is involved. There are lawyers, there are case managers outside of ｙMA that are involved. Sometimes there are advocates for the children. And so there are a lot of parties that are included in the case. And an ｙMA advocate gets to go in and represent mom. She gets to go in and represent what has mom been doing when it comes to parenting? What is the program? And again, our coordinators are there to help answer a lot of the details of the program. But the advocate, the ｙMA advocate, is the one who gets to speak on mom's progress and her experience with mom, who she's been meeting with her likely every week. And so having conversations with her multiple times throughout the week. And so she's going to be the best representation of mom's progress through parenting, how mom's doing, and maybe some needs and opportunities that are available for mom.
Sure. So then last question I have is, where have either of you or both of you seen the advocate's voice in court have an impact on the I don't know if the right word is proceeding or on the final decision or on just like a really thorough update for mom?
Yeah.
What was the impact?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of really cool stories. I mean, like removals be overturned, reunifications happen because of what's testified in court that day. I think it's important for us to recognize too that like court is a really intimidating space, especially if you don't have any kind of legal background.
Right.
So like I, who have been doing this for many years, will still be in court, and the jargon that's being thrown around, like I leave confused. Attorneys at times will leave confused.
Yeah.
And so how can we expect this mom who is being thrust into the situation to not leave with some of those same, like I've had that experience with a mom. We walk out of the courtroom and she's like, what did they just say? And so we do our best to try. But it is important to note that we are not, as advocates, as ymA team members, we are not legal representation. We are there as a service provider and again, as a part of her case plan. And so it's so important, though. I can think of one particular story of a mom that was recently reunified. She had a middle school daughter, and something really traumatic and harsh had happened at school that day with the child, with the little girl. And when it was reported to mom asked the school if they had handled it according to their normal protocol. And they said yes. The school had given this little girl clearance to go back to class. And mom said, okay, just make sure she connects with her life coach after school. She was a part of another program locally.
Sure.
But what was communicated in court was that mom kind of snuffed off the report and was like, I don't know, send her to her life coach. He'll deal with it after school.
Wow.
And so that's what was communicated, just in like miscommunication, like two ships in the night that didn't catch each other.
Sure.
And the advocate and the team was there to be like, no, that's not what happened.
Sure.
What happened was like mom asked these 3 questions and this was the school's response. And because of that, like they were able to get that accurate information. So a judge is making the decision based on the information that he or her are given. And so it is an unjust situation to only give a judge fractions or pieces of information and not the full story. And sometimes the advocate can be there to fill in the gaps of the story that feels like there's broken and missing pieces to this.
That's such helpful context because most of our advocates are walking very closely with our moms, right? We talked in a different video about like the relational aspect, and through that relationship, she has the context of like of what was really going on, even in really hard moments like that one that you mentioned, and that she provides like a different corner of the full picture.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so important to get like the full picture, not just like one corner, because one corner on its own could look very different than the full. That's super helpful context. Obviously, we have a lot to dive into in other videos. So thank you for your time. We are going to dive into a different video. Feel free to check it out on session notes, documentation, and testifying in court. But thanks for joining this time.